I think it just shows you more about how ineffectual his character is.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because the fact that like, oh, he's walking over there, he's about to beat this dude's ass who's not aware, and no, it don't go down like that.
Yeah, because he was winking at her. Yeah, the dude was making a play on his girl because you're like, look, that dude over there, he winking at me.
Man over there repeated blinks at me. I blinked back. For polite, I think.
I'll take care of this.
You ain't gonna do it.
What you gonna do? So asshole. Oh, I love that, man. Join me for a night of sit-down comedy over at the Broadway Comedy Club, March 15th. That's in New York, of course. We're gonna be back in the Red Room. So everybody here gave their list, their worst and best of for 2023. You gave yours already.
I did.
Julian Hemmendinger, who's not here right now, he gave his. Did not get a chance to see everything on there. I'm curious to see what you have. But I did not get a chance to do my best of yet. Now I did my worst of. You can go see that on YouTube, that video there. But also waited to do my best of because I had to think about this.
Oh yeah.
You know, regardless of what people think or say, especially if you listen to those people out there, you know, the comment sections and everything, you know, you would think that I hate movies, and I do not hate movies. I love movies. I love movies so much that there was a tremendous amount of guilt that I felt making a top 10. I just see all those little movies left out, man, over there, looking sad, feeling neglected. And I said, you know what? I couldn't sleep at night sometimes.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way around that. So I decided I don't want to deal with these numbers anymore. I don't want to make a 1 through 10 list or anything like that. I want to respect these movies and give them credit for what they did in certain categories.
Okay.
I've categorized these the best way I could in certain ways. And I hope that makes it fair. And the only thing is that when you do it this way, you kind of get more than 10. So you hear a little bit longer than you usually are. You know.
Any excuse.
Yeah. Hey man, I just got so much love to give for these movies, man. That's the thing. You'll be surprised though. We might get through this quicker than you think.
Okay.
The first category that I have here for my best movies of 2023, I started out with a category called the most obvious. I mean, these are the movies that everybody's going to have on the list.
Okay.
These are movies that everybody's talking about. You know, this is one that you figured was going to be, people going to be talking about being the best of. And my first movie that I'm going to talk about for the best of, and the first one in this category of the most obvious is...
This wealth should come to us.
When this money started coming, we should have known it came with something else.
That's Marty Scorsese taking that gangster shit to the reservation. Yeah, what was the Indian tribe here?
Osage.
Yeah, this is where the Osage Indians, and they got a lot of money. Of course, back then, white people said, you can't have that money.
Right.
That's our money.
That's our money.
You red people, all y'all, that's our money. I don't care how you found it. Pay your taxes. The white tax. Yeah, and ruthlessly just started going in and murdering them. But, for a movie about murdering a tribe of wealthy Native Americans, it was very entertaining. And listen, that's also, I say obvious because it's Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese can make something that's just okay. And everybody's going to be like, genius.
Well, he can make something that's okay for him, and it's still highly above what other people are doing.
Listen, he can make something just okay, even if it's just okay, which I'm not saying he ever does that. He's done a couple of times.
Yeah.
There's been some stuff out there. Now, listen, no one has a perfect run.
Sure.
But he's damn near ahead of everybody else on that. But if he makes something that's even just okay, he's still going to be a front runner just because of his name. And so I put this on here because, like I said, it's very entertaining. And I say this having sat and watched this movie for damn near 4 hours. It's something had to be entertaining. Even watching people get murdered had to be entertaining. If you don't keep me awake for 4 hours and have me sitting there. And I didn't go to the bathroom or anything.
No. You don't squirm in your seat.
But here's the thing about Martin Scorsese. He continues to be unfazed by an ever-changing Hollywood, man. like I said, he had some misses for me, but you know, this is up here with his best.
I agree, and you know, it's wild to see somebody who, you know, who is as old as he is. A lot of directors or people, they kind of fall off in their later years, but you know, he's turning out stuff that's some of his best work ever.
Yeah.
Also, this is cinema. For all the like him saying, "Oh, Marvel's not really cinema," and people are like, "Hey, how dare you?" It's like, no, this is cinema right here.
I never knocked him for saying that. I just said, you know, cinema encompasses different things. Cinema can be popcorn movies. Cinema can be just entertainment. Cinema can be action films. You know, it's a different thing. I would expect a filmmaker to respect that, you know. But yes, he's making prestige films. And yeah, you know, he's not making a product just to sell it. That's what I mean by you know, in this day and age where some filmmakers from the old school, you know, they've been changed by Hollywood. Yeah. Or they just said, to hell with it. I can't work here no more. Right. You know, Martin Scorsese said, that you do what I say. You know what I'm saying? He's like, because I look at this, man, this really is, okay, if you want to say cinema, yeah, that's true. You know, so much attention to detail. The sets, the costumes is all amazing. The great performances. You know, that's a given when you have people like, you know, Robert De Niro, old veterans like that, and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's great. But I'm going to tell you, man, I love the side performers in this.
Sure.
There's a dude in that movie, man. And I said, this dude is stealing every scene for me. This guy right here, Ty Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a real cowboy, man, I think. Every scene he was in, he was stealing those scenes for me, man.
He was. It's a great movie.
This is a great film. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not just saying that because of Martin Scorsese. You know, he made a very great film here. And I feel bad even telling him, I ain't 4 hours, I ain't watching this. He's like, yeah, you are. Shut up. Oh, all right. Another obvious one. Again, these are movies that people are talking about this. No surprise.
Morning.
Pants tomorrow, please, David.
Beat the shit out of people. That's what I love to do with the family. Yeah, that's the Iron Claw. I'll tell you why I like this, man. Because the filmmakers took the best approach for this movie right here, which is, this is already a fascinating story. And they recognize that a lot of times studios or directors or the filmmakers, they don't recognize how great of a story that they have on hand, which doesn't need a lot of false filmmaking behind it. What I mean by that is you don't need a whole lot of flashy direction. You don't need a whole lot of emotional manipulation to do that. And this filmmaker here just let the story tell itself, man, with just really great performances. Yeah. The whole time you're watching this and you really, man, these actors are these characters, man. The Von Erichs. This is the story of the wrestling family, the Von Erichs, who they had something called the Von Erich curse. I'll just let you watch the movie to figure out why. But it's you know, because of that, it's a very sad and tragic film to watch.
Well, these actors go above and beyond. I mean, just to look at them, and then the stunt training they had to do to learn how to actually wrestle and all. But performances, the dramatic performances are so great, and it's one of these where you could know the story ahead of time, and still with what they do in the beginning of the movie is pull you in, and you fall in love with these characters, these people, these people. Yep. And you almost forget, you're liking them so much, you forget about what's coming, and then when it does, it hurts.
Yeah, but it's also a movie where you get some real standout performances from people they've been great already, but they need a break. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that these people were catching it bad in the first place, but they just, got to a point. These people were they are about acting, and they just haven't got the attention I think they deserve. One of them is the guy who played the father.
Yeah, Holt McCallany.
Yeah, Holt. Yeah, he's awesome in this. Hoyt. He's getting a lot of attention for this. What's his name? Hoyt
McCallany.
Yeah, McCallany, and also, and this goes without saying, and I don't know how much it's going to be a boost for him, but. Zac Efron, man. Zac Efron is, he's been trying to break out that teen heartthrob thing for years, even as a man. Mm-hmm. And he's, and this is I think this is the one that's really going to, because even when he was giving great performances, they were movies that just weren't doing that well.
Sure. Yeah, he was going through what Ryan Reynolds went through before he did Deadpool.
Yeah. So go talk to Marvel, man. Not now. Give it about 5 years, go holler at him. But no, he's great in this, man. You know, you see, this is also where a lot of people thought he had like the plastic surgery because they said, what do you do with his face?
Are you sure he didn't?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Maybe they really beat the shit out of him on this movie. They just
broke his jaw and
messed up his face. But either way, he did transform through his acting into this. To one of the Von Erich brothers, man. And I hope he catches a break with this. But like I said, because him and all these other actors, man, they are carrying this film right here and making it, the great film that it is. Also, I wish I knew names better, man. Your boy from The Bear.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah, he's very good in this too. Mm-hmm. That guy's a great actor, man.
Yeah.
Another one that people are talking about, and I don't know if this kind of fell off with this movie, the buzz for it, but upon release of this film, there were a lot of people buzzing about this movie.
Where's our representation?
Would you give us the pleasure of reading an excerpt?
Girl, you be pregnant again? If I is, Ray Ray's gonna be a real father this time around.
This is American fiction about a black writer played by Jeffrey Wright, who writes books that he thinks doesn't even depend on his color, but yet it gets classified that way. And because he's not doing ghetto shit or, typical struggle stuff, nobody buys it. They're like, you saw the girl, I'll be Liz in the ghetto. But when he does that as a joke, all of a sudden, it's his best-selling book. And it's something that he's not proud of exactly, even when it's about to make a lot of money. I want to give this movie credit. Like, if I did a top 10, I don't know if it would be on it or not now, but I think it deserves attention because I think that the movie was a little bit uneven between the drama and the satire. I did that in my review.
Yes, you did.
But I mentioned that in my review, but it does get by on the performance of Jeffrey Wright, man. And all the other people here, Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown is in the movie, man. They have so many great scenes in this movie, man, that sometimes you have a movie that is comprised of so many great scenes, even if they don't all flow together all the time, at least not for me, but that it raises this up to a really good movie still.
Yeah.
And like I said, maybe they didn't flow together, but in their own spaces, they were pretty good.
And the thing about Jeffrey Wright's performance is it's not flashy. It's not overdone. A lot of it is done with his expressions.
Jeffrey Wright, this kind of movie for him is long overdue because he's so great. He's usually, a lot of people start to see him as a character actor now, and when I remember back in the day with Shaft and all that kind of stuff, he was on the come up, and then he just started being supporting characters. He's the main character here, and he really deserves a lot of attention for it because he and a few other people carry this film, man. Even though, like I said, sometimes narratively it's kind of off for me, but it's working for a lot of other people too, and I think it deserves attention for being one of the better movies, if not one of the best movies of 2023. All right.
So far, everything you've listed, you mentioned has been on my list.
Well, here we go with something that's not.
All right.
And even then, I don't even know how to categorize this. I almost put this down here because I didn't want to give this movie a backhanded compliment. I was going to put it down. I don't know if it really is the best movie, but I liked it anyway. Okay. And I want to give it attention.
No, I need me a wife.
Even if we have to part, you and me.
She was the only one ever loved me.
That's the remake of The Color Purple, remake of the 1985 classic that was also very divisive. I think I like this movie because I think that they fixed a lot of those things that were divisive in that film. And also they took the right approach to making this a musical, which the musical numbers for me were very entertaining. Not all of them, but most of them were very entertaining. And I like the artistic approach they took to it. Even though I'm not, even this has a little bit of struggle in it for me that I'm not wanting to see these days, especially when people's talks like this, it has to put some S's on everything. I'm not in it for that these days. But I got to give credit where credit is due. I think it's a well-made film. They did a lot in the end that I felt to kind of remedy what a lot of people thought was troublesome about the first film, which I maybe don't. Some of that I agree, some of that I don't. But I think here, I kind of think they took the right approach here. And overall, like I said, I walked out pretty entertained with this film. Okay. I just want to give it some credit right here. If I had made a top 10, I can tell you it probably would not be on my top 10. Maybe it would. I don't know. I didn't make a top 10, but I do think this movie deserves credit for being one of the better films of 2023. All right. Here's a category that I called the obligation.
Wait, I thought that you did the obligation already. No?
No, that's the category.
Okay.
Oh, the category. No, the first category.
Yeah.
No, that was the obvious, the most obvious.
Ah.
No, the obligation is the movie where I didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else did, but I do recognize the movie for its greatness.
Okay, I know what it is.
You knew it was this.
Yeah.
Race against the Nazis. Let's go recruit some scientists.
Of course, there's Oppenheimer, and I say the obligation because I feel like if I don't put this on the list or say something nice about it, everybody's gonna be on my ass.
What about? Yeah,
Yeah.
It swept the Golden Globes.
Oh, I know, and I have the unpopular opinion because this is just a theory of mine. I really do think that this being teamed up with Barbie, they made a nice couple, and I think this movie got raised a notch because of that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I said, but I'm not saying that it's bad because of that. And when I do see a movie that everybody likes, I try to look past, my own biases and see, is there really something great there? And you know what? Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you, the movie dragged for me, man. I was bored in some parts, and that's just, I don't know. Maybe call me on a day where I just tired. I don't know. But, shut up. Damn, it's like a bomb just blew up. And no, I ain't like one of the people like, man, when they gonna blow some shit up? No, it's not me, all right? Stop it. I don't know what it is. It was about 3 hours, and I just felt the running time with this. I felt it could have been tighter. I felt that there were some elements in this movie where they could have done better, like with his wife's storyline. I felt that was kind of...
Yeah, that's
Emily Blunt, who played his wife.
Was lacking.
Yeah, I felt that they could have done more with that. But I do see where people like it because... regardless of what I think about this movie, I do still see the brilliant direction of the movie by Christopher Nolan. And I'm going to tell you, man, Christopher Nolan is one of the few people that works in Hollywood where you can see the passion in his film. No matter how much money they give him, he's not going to do it for the money. Of course, it's nice to get paid, but this is a passion project for him. And you felt that.
Yeah.
I have to respect that, I mean, even when I was watching the movie, I was like, damn, there's a lot of brilliance in this film. I wish I was feeling it all, but a lot of people do. And, if they do, then there's something great here. So, yeah, I can see this being one of the best movies of 2023.
There's a lot that goes on here, and it could be overwhelming. And it's possible that it's a movie that you may watch later and fall in love with.
You know what? I want to. I ain't going to the theater to do it, I'll tell you that. But when it finally comes to TV, and I've done this with certain movies. When I have a chance to watch it on my own time again, then I might change my attitude because I would say this. There are certain times when people gave performances and that just pulled me into the movie. And I have to really give a lot of praise for that. Cillian Murphy, of course, he's every ounce of praise that he's getting for playing Oppenheimer, man. It's deserved. But I really do respect the film, and I'm not giving this. I say the obligation, and some of that is true, but it really isn't. I do have a lot of respect for this movie.
I thought you did.
Yeah, no, I do. I love movies enough to recognize, even if I'm not feeling it like everybody else, I recognize what goes into it.
Yeah.
And I have again a lot of respect for Christopher Nolan. I think there's some movies of his. I'm like, I don't know. There's only one movie. That's 10. I'm like, out here with that, man.
We know.
But outside of that, I'll kiss his ass all day. All right, let's go ahead and get into what I think is the most original movie of 2023.
It's an experiment.
Good evening.
Her brain and her body are not quite synchronized. Or it is a happy tale.
This is the movie this is where people accuse me of being an old pretentious son of a bitch. I can say, oh, you like that old weird shit. Yes, I do. And Poor Things is that movie, man. And I would say that Poor Things, while I'm putting it in the category of most original, I would say that it is probably my favorite movie of the year.
Mine too.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it was Killers of the Flower Moon until I saw Poor Things. I saw it late, and when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, this is my favorite movie of the year.
This director here, Yorgos Lanthimos, he's becoming one of my favorite directors because he is so goddamn crazy. He is kind of weird. But see, the thing is, maybe this is probably his weirdest film yet. But I'm not liking this just because it's different, just because it's odd, just because it's crazy, or even because it's artsy or whatever. There's a lot of directors, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of directors who are stylistic, are just weird to be weird.
Yes, they are.
You know?
And this may have fallen into that category had it not been so funny.
Well, funny, but also maybe it is weird, but he's not doing it for the sake of being weird because this director recognizes, oh yeah, I'm telling a story. And so this movie emotionally pulled me in, man, because he is telling a story. Because he's telling a story, because he is pulling you in emotionally with these characters, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. You have Emma Stone, who plays a woman who, as you heard, is a science experiment by this pretty much mad scientist played by the Green Goblin over here, Willem Dafoe. But it ends up being a story, and so it starts out kind of as a Frankenstein story, but then it turns into a story of a woman being, just pretty much being emancipated, finding her freedom. The funny thing about this is a feminist movie, but it's so weird and so crazy that it confused the people who would say woke, so they didn't know what to say, they just shut the up.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful films.
Yeah, it is.
One of the most beautiful and artistic films of 2023. It is my favorite movie this year. And overall, anybody else, they say, you can't do two things at once. You can't be artistic and imaginative and but then funny at the same time. But no, this movie's not afraid to be funny because it is somewhat of a comedy. It's not afraid to be funny. It gets silly. They're like, we embrace being silly with this. This time this movie just says, I don't give a I just want to get a laugh right here. I just want to be stupid.
I think the movie's hilarious.
Become the very thing I hate, grasping succubus of a lover.
Well, if everybody else will get stupid, I might as well too. That's another thing. Like everything really is over the top, kind of silly in this. Yet it knows when to rein it in and tell a story. Like the score in this is this old rubbery ass music.
Right.
And then and there's moments where it's just the movie will break out into just these odd things and then it's almost like the movie goes off track just to do something stupid and then gets back on track. Like this part right here has nothing to do with the story. Like Mark Ruffalo going to beat this dude's ass right here. Look at this. It really doesn't need to be in the movie, but it does add to like the tone that it's going for.
I think it just shows you more about how ineffectual his character is.
Yeah, no, it does.
Because the fact that like, oh, he's walking over there, he's about to beat this dude's ass who's not aware, and no, it don't go down like that.
Yeah, because he was winking at her. Yeah, the dude was making a play on his girl because you're like, look, that dude over there, he winking at me.
The man over there repeated blinks at me. I blinked back. For polite, I think.
I'll take care of this.
You ain't gonna do it.
What you gonna do? So asshole. Oh, I love that, man.
Popeye, your bitch ass ain't gonna do nothing.
Let's go to the category. This is a little more straightforward. The category of animation. My first entry into this category is
of strange things happen in this place.
That's The Boy and the Heron. Now, I gave this movie a matinee, and this is the latest Miyazaki movie. And you probably wonder, well, if you gave this a matinee, why is this on your list? Because just like Scorsese, it's Miyazaki. And when Miyazaki makes a movie, even if it's a matinee, it's 10 times better than most of the movies that are out there, at least with ambition and vision.
Yeah.
And
how personal it is.
Oh, that man, you know what? You're right. It is. You're 100% correct. I didn't even think about that. All these movies are personal for him. Mm-hmm. So again, these are passion movies that speak sincerity in the filmmaking. And the thing is, I still love the worlds that he creates, man.
Your mother. She's awaiting your rescue.
Yeah, so even when it's crazy like that, because you never know what's going to happen in a Miyazaki movie. Damn, a bird going to grow teeth and nose on his beak. What the hell is this? But man, Miyazaki, I admire him. When I say his ambition, I say that, he's done this long enough. He's made a career out of making worlds that just goes by his own rules.
Yeah.
When you there, you in his world. Mm-hmm. You just live there. And by the way, you ain't even living there. You just visiting. Get the hell out of here. You can't take this. You can't take this brain right here.
You wouldn't want to live there for too long.
No. You know, these movies are like dreams that you're in, where if somehow, you know, all of this is crazy, but yet somehow it makes sense in its own way.
It's got its own logic.
He is one of the most unique filmmakers that we have out there. And his movies always deserve a look. And like I said, they stand out over 90% of stuff that's out there, man. Now, I would put a couple other movies over that because while I respect that movie, I enjoyed it in parts. There were a couple of other animated movies that I was very entertained by.
Sure.
One of these movies, I was very, okay, I knew that I would be okay with it. I kind of looked at it like, I think this is going to be all right. But I was shocked at how much I really just enjoyed this movie, man.
We have a very important mission for tonight. We must use stealth.
From Seth Rogen comes a movie that crushes for absolutely every age.
And that is true. This, man, listen, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I thought with a name like that sounded like, you know, after, you know, like an old Saturday morning cartoon or something. Yeah. But man, okay, so not only is this one of the most original looking movies this year, you know, they're still taking that 3D animation look but applying like, you know, painted textures on it. And they're still advancing that. And this one is very messy in a way, but that's the point. You know, everything looks like drawn from children's or teenagers' notebook or graffiti or something, man. It's a very messy, sketchy look that they have here. And I love that. It's also one of the most fun movies I saw this year. It's a kid's movie that's made not even thinking about that demographic.
No. I mean, of the animated movies, whether or not it's the best is debatable, but it was the one I enjoyed the most. I had the most fun with it. I love that they were finally teenagers.
Yep.
It's very New York.
Yeah, they just made something fun, man, you know? And I also like it has like a claymation look to it in a way too. It's like, it's a lot of different looks here. That's something very unique. But the thing about this, out of all the versions of the Turtles that we got, this one is the one that embraces the insanity of this concept the most.
Yes.
You know, right down from the look to the way it's executed, in a way that just never been done before. But like I said, man, the way they've incorporated a lot of other things like the hip hop with it, you know, introducing new characters as well as reimagining some of the old legacy characters. It's just so much fun, man. I really enjoyed this. And the way they put it together, you know, I thought it was up there with it went beyond a kid's movie for me. I thought it was just as entertaining as any other movie out there, on par with any other PG-13 movie, even though this was PG. You know, they don't, you know, just goes to show you that a lot of time, man, these PG-13 ratings are just for business.
Exactly.
This one probably will not be a surprise to anybody out there, but not only is this my favorite animated movie of the year, but it's one of my favorite movies of the year.
Never lets anyone tell him that he doesn't belong there.
I was watching this the other day, and I love this movie, man. You know, at a time when everyone's admitting to having superhero fatigue, even those that have fought it for a long time. They try to get these superhero movies back, man. This, I believe, is exactly what was needed. You know, especially when we're talking about how Marvel fell off. Even though Spider-Man's a Marvel character, we're talking about not Marvel Studios. We're talking about what they did with a Marvel character here. And of course, this is Spider-Man across the universe.
Across the Spider-Verse.
I mean, I'm sorry, I knew Across the Spider. I always do that. Across the Spider-Verse, damn it. But this is true art, man.
It is.
This is true art. This goes beyond the superhero film, you know, and it goes beyond the superhero film in many ways. Again, this is art, man, embracing so many different styles to the point they even let a kid animate a scene to put in here.
Did they?
Yeah, the Lego part.
Oh,
that was
okay.
a kid. They had, some people are saying it's sort of the democratization of filmmaking, you know, just bringing in all these different styles and whatnot. Even though there's controversy on, you know, still animators, you know, working with in crunch culture and, you know, not getting paid what they're worth and whatnot. I'm sure that might have happened here, but the results, no matter what, are amazing. I also appreciate it because it continues to be diverse in the best way. It's mingling so many different cultures and characters without seeming forced.
True.
You know, and you know, making people aware, you know, when they actually do bring diversity in, they actually make some funny out of it. You know, there's so many little touches in there. To this day, I'm still catching little things when I watch this that I didn't see before. You can't catch it the first time around.
No, it's impossible to catch it all.
No.
I think even on the third viewing,
you're
still missing stuff.
And there's so much going on in this movie that it easily could have been a jumbled mess but I think they balance this out very well. I like the way it shifts from being funny to also being very emotional. You know, that's what I was thinking about here, man. You know, these characters out of all this insanity that's going on with this movie. These, you know, just like with the Poor Things, it's still keeping these characters something that you feel emotionally attached to. You see them feel for each other. They don't, you know, they're telling their stories. This is the full package for me, man. This is like in my top 5 movies of the year right here. Let's go to a category called Big Surprises. So for my first big surprise, and I think this was a surprise for a lot of people.
Heels are on the ground.
So listen, even with these trailers, people had doubts. But not only was Barbie a good movie, but it was smart.
Yeah.
You know, listen, this Barbie is a major brand. This movie could have easily been just some Hollywood formula, and they still could have made money. So the fact that Warner Brothers gave Greta Gerwig a chance to go and make this right here, and see, you think I'm lying? There's Greta Gerwig right there, and that it was also successful. You know, this is a rarity in Hollywood.
It's a perfect synthesis of everything you want, where it's commercial, but it's smart. It brings in young audiences and older audiences and good word of mouth, and it's beautiful to look at. And then on top makes a bunch of money.
The thing is, this movie is so smart and so good that somehow, some kind of way, it made this big statement about going against male-dominated society, you know, the patriarchy, and still evaded the critics that want to say woke. You know, it's still somehow, they tried.
They tried.
Damn, y'all got everything in here. Y'all going against men, and you got a trans person in here. No, that. Go woke, go bro. How much money they made? God damn it, foiled again. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not only a surprise hit, but a surprise hit that deserved it, man. It was, you know, like I said, movies smart, written for a mainstream Hollywood film with a major brand. They don't usually take chances like that.
No, even you saying those words, I in my inner self goes, all right, let's get this over with.
Yeah, exactly. My next movie under the category of big surprises for the best movies of 2023.
Godzilla.
You goddamn right I am.
Man, he's
So not only did they make Godzilla terrifying, like some parts of this are just a real horror movie, but also they made them, I mean, this is the first one I'm like, man, you really are an asshole.
Right?
So this is Godzilla Minus One. I was like, why are you doing this, man? Come on, man. Let me talk to him real quick. Don't do this to these people, man.
Oh, you want some of this?
No. Yeah, but you know, Godzilla is not the main focus, though. Godzilla, you know, you like, yes, I am. Godzilla is the force of nature here. Godzilla is the atom bomb. You know, Godzilla, you know, he might as well be a hurricane or whatever, man. This feels like more like a disaster movie with a giant creature. But, you know, a lot of disaster movies that are great, what makes them great is that they concentrate on the human struggle. You know, this is more of a drama. You know, these are people. Godzilla's used as an analogy for surviving, you know, the bomb and people in a society trying to pull themselves back together. And so that's what they did here. They made the great decision to center more on the drama of the humans and make a really big, bold political statement with this too. You know, this kind of goes back to the first movie in a way. But even then, like I said, you know, the ones the cut we were getting, it was all chopped up and we had American actors in there. This one was able to go in and, you know, also for American audiences, really emphasize the struggle of the human beings here, man. So it's all a good balance of things that they have here. You know, it's a smart film. The only reason why I gave it a high matinee is because even with the drama that they have in here, it was a little predictable for me. But I did tell you at the time, I said, for some reason, still, this is, even when I did the review, I said, this is one of the best movies of the year for me so far.
Absolutely. So except for The Color Purple, everything you mentioned so far has been on my top 10.
Really? Okay. That's going to change.
I know.
Give it time.
You got 24 other movies on your list.
Yeah, I do. No, actually, I'm looking at this. Not too much more.
Okay.
No, this is going to go like you This is going to go a little quicker than you think, Martin. A little faster than you think. But not when I have to do these ads. I do. But there's something that I got to do. It is something I got to stop and tell y'all about. And I don't mind telling about the ad that we have here today. People, this ad is brought to you by a podcast, Avatar, Braving the Elements. And this is why I want to talk to y'all about this ad right here, or this podcast. Because
that's a great title.
It is. No, it's a great title, and it's a great podcast. A lot of people in our audience, they love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, you do. And people are jumping on me. Why don't you love it? They're like, what the hell is wrong with you that you haven't watched this? How come you don't know anything about this? Well, you know what? I got a good place to start right now. I can start with this podcast right here, which each week you have host Janet Varney, who's the voice of Korra, and Dante Bosco, he's the voice of Zuko. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they rewatch every episode of The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay.
I guess they talk about it. So I got a way that I can go in and start catching up on this and with a podcast. Now I don't have to sit down and just watch it. And the thing is, the podcast is so good that I want to go and watch the episodes when they're done. Yeah. So that's the cool thing about it. Whether you watched every episode or whether you're new, this works for everybody out there. So they bring in a lot of guests too. Yeah. They bring in a super guest, our super fans. Mm-hmm. They bring in the other cast members. They even bring in the creators, Michael DiMartino and Brian, you know the name of this guy, Brian Conizzo, and they do these deep dives on the show.
Okay, DiMartino I know, but the other guy I don't know.
No, they come. Sometimes they'll make an appearance and they'll come in and do deep dives, and nothing like having the creators there to tell you things that you think you know and you don't. Mm-hmm. No, you are wrong about that. Like I said, people, if you're a big fan of Avatar, you're going to get stuff in this podcast that you can't get anywhere else. So go check it out. And the way you can do so is you can go to bit.ly/Avatar Double Toasted. You can listen to this on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Just right when you thought that you couldn't get any more Avatar: The Last Airbender, I've consumed everything. I've consumed all the elements out there. I don't know what can you give me? Well, you got this podcast here right now. I want to thank Avatar, and I'm going to put this up so you can see it right here. Avatar: Braving the Elements. That's the podcast. I want to thank them for sponsoring this portion of the show, and I want to thank all of you out there for your support. Thank you. So let's go to a category called Martin, here's where we part ways.
Yeah, well.
I mean,
before Vin Diesel, Paul Walker.
yeah. This is where we Paul Walker, Vin Diesel each other, man. I have a category here called underrated crowd pleaser. And this is one that I think you and I were divided on when it came out. But a lot of people did enjoy this film, including myself.
To give us a fighting chance, we're going to need strength. You got it. What is that again? Now there.
So that is Dungeons and Dragons, people. This movie just had the unfortunate, the unfortunate timing of coming out during when there were movies coming out one after another. It was 1 week. If there was like at the time this was coming out, even they were talking about movies that were good. They just couldn't. There were too many movies coming out.
There were a bunch of movies
1 week after another
around that time,
and they were just kind of cannibalizing on each other's business. Yeah, and this is one of those movies because again, Martin didn't enjoy this, and I
didn't put it on my worst of list like Julian did.
Well, Julian's crazy. We know that. It's not Julian. No. Yeah. Hey, listen, I respect everybody's opinion on that, but for me, when I saw this movie, a lot of people were like me. Most who saw it agreed that this was a combination of a modern heist movie mixed with the fantasy setting, and it made for a fun and really clever time with this film. Or at least it had a lot of clever moments in here. It had a lot of great humor, but it didn't skimp on the visuals. And I thought that the chemistry between all these actors was very nice, man. That's Chris Pine, right?
Yeah.
I thought Chris Pine and your girl over here, Michelle
Rodriguez.
I thought they got along better I thought their chemistry was better together than they were with Vin Diesel and
of course.
And her in Fast and Furious, and they're supposed to be married.
Yeah, well, Vin Diesel's kind of giving up.
yeah, I know. And it was almost spoofing Dungeons and Dragons, the property, without being disrespectful to it, because there was so much that it did right with the mythology, the lore, the rules, and the gameplay of Dungeons and Dragons. I thought that they did a really good job at seeming like they were kind of making fun of the nerdiness of it, without saying, we disrespect this. We actually have a lot of respect for this. It was just a fun action film and set within a medieval fantasy time. I wish it had done better. I don't know how it would. I don't know if it'll find a second life after the theater. I don't know if it'll be a cult following. I don't know. People might just be like, you should have done better. I don't know, but I really did love the movie when I saw it. I had a really great time with it, and like I said, it's a crowd pleaser. So even though it's gone from the theater, bring some friends over and watch it. And again, no telling if everybody will like it or not, but I think it's a good chance that people will if you watch it together. Speaking of watching movies together, I have another category here that's just called pure fun popcorn flick. Nobody would put this on their list, probably, of best movies for 2023, because a movie like this just doesn't seem like it gives you credibility. Mm-hmm. But I think popcorn movies deserve as much attention as any other movie out there, and this is one that I had a great time with.
Strays.
You know better. Now you want to discredit me. Now Strays was on my worst stuff list. Don't you sit there and say that, because some people believe that.
Your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
Is that a doll?
Model 3 generative.
Experts say.
Megan, turn off.
Bitch. Yeah, it's another one of those movies where the robot assistant says, "You listen, I ain't gonna be talked to many times like that."
Right.
I'm getting kind of tired of you telling me what to do. This is Megan. In this case, the robot is a little doll that looks like Elizabeth Olsen, and I really, really had a great time with this. And like I said, it's not doing anything different. We've seen this theme done so many times before, where the machine has turned on man or woman in this case. But hey, those machines that have no moves like this. Yeah, look at that. It was things like that made me enjoy this movie so much, because the movie, again, we say this a lot of times. I say this a lot of times. It did not take itself seriously. It knew exactly what it was. Come on, yeah. When you see that, it was like, yeah, man, this is a movie that just really just wants to entertain. No high ambitions with this. It knows it's not trying to be any kind of art, even though anything can be art when you say that. But this is not trying to be, as I said earlier, it's not trying to be prestige filmmaking. No. It is a popcorn horror flick, man. It's a B movie with just a little bit above average B movie budget, and they knew what to do with it. If you ask me, I had a great time with this. This is why I made this list right here, right? Because again, movies serve different purposes, sure, and they are the best in their category sometimes. Mm-hmm. Moving on, the best live action superhero movie. My favorite superhero movie was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This right here, I think, out of all the superhero movies that we had released this year, and there were a lot of them, this one is the one I think rose above them all.
The galaxy still needs its guardians.
This is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And with this one, first of all, no multiverse. No big tie-in or advertisement for the next film, right? Which has been just, there's been pretty much why Marvel has been suffering. They forgot. Think about this. I'm just gonna get on Marvel discussion just real quick. Think about this with Marvel. When you had Samuel Jackson walk in at the end of Iron Man, that was something that was just, they didn't plan for that. It's just something that just kind of happened. Right. Thanos wasn't even a big plan. Mm-hmm. Thanos was just put in there because he was cool, and they just kind of rolled with it. Now they trying too hard. Yeah. This movie didn't do any of these things right here.
It's self-contained.
Yeah.
It wraps up a lot of the storylines that they have with these characters. Mm-hmm. You get closure. I mean, even though it's sort of open-ended, but you get closure. But I think it's as good, if not better, than the first one. That the writing is there, but it's also can be humorous, but also very emotional and dark.
Yeah, this movie. So they just let James Gunn come in with his sense of humor, his style, his visual style, but they're not afraid to embrace heavy emotion in here. I mean, it's tragedy on several levels. Everybody knows Rocket Raccoon has a tragic story, but Peter Quill, Star-Lord, he's going through his own thing too, and his story don't really end that happy either. No. They really did embrace some darkness here, man. And yet, it was almost like all that darkness was an evolution for these characters.
Yeah.
These characters became better because of it. They persevered. This is centering on character and emotion and mood way more than all these other Marvel shows and movies, man. Of date, or as of date right now. So, we've had animation. We've had our prestige art movies. It's time to get into another category, best horror. Best horror of 2023. I saw this is on Shudder, actually, and I watched it and I was like, you know what? I said, man, this movie deserves a lot of attention because it succeeded where another movie failed horribly. It was on my list of actually, at least in my opinion, on my list of worst of 2023. This movie showed me why I felt that way. So this is When Evil Lurks. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm not gonna name any names here, but I had seen a movie where I said this is doing nothing new with demonic possession movies at all. And this one had a very unique approach to demonic possessions. Oh yeah, this is a movie where demonic possessions are just they're such a part of life and it's just such a common occurrence that you have special parts of the government that come in and take care of it. Oh. And these people try to take care of it themselves and when they shouldn't be. And of course, everything just literally goes to hell for them. But the other thing with this, man, is that it's disturbing. If you don't like kids, don't come in here.
Oh, wow.
Or if you like kids, if you like kids and atrocities against children disturbs you, then this ain't for you because we're going to do it. Yeah, it's a movie that, it goes there, man. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's just for the unique approach that it took. To the demonic possession genre, which is a subgenre almost. Another movie that had a unique approach to is horror, which I think is one of the best horror movies of 2023.
Talk to me.
I really enjoyed this movie, man. Did you see it?
I watched it on a plane.
Oh, okay. I love the concept, treating the supernatural like a party drug. Of course, that never goes right. I mean, regular drugs don't go right. Supernatural drugs don't really go up.
Well, plus this girl was like the last person he needed to be doing that.
Sure was, man. Sure was. But yeah, this is it's almost like It Follows in a way. But again, I know not anywhere, where it's like ripping that movie off anything. It has its own unique story here. And in addition to, again, normalizing the supernatural, it still remains very creepy. And also, it's another movie where it goes to a very tragic place. It's not, and it's not afraid to do it. I really enjoyed this. If you haven't seen it, you like horror, but you like horror that's doing its own thing, check it out. What'd you think about it?
I thought it was very clever, and I like what they were doing with it.
Yeah, I know. I like this a lot, man. Let's go to another category, which is streaming. Saw some movies on streaming that I thought were right up there with some of the theatrical releases. This is one of them.
I don't give a
and he doesn't, man. This is the director. This is
David Fincher.
David Fincher, man.
I can't remember if I had this in my top 10 or on the honorable mention list. But I know I love this movie.
It's probably in your top 10. But I really like this movie too. And the reason why is because it's very straightforward on the outside. Yet underneath, man, it's very complex. It's a character study on the psyche of a hired killer. Often who thinks he knows every goddamn thing and is very much at odds with himself, but still very effective when he can be. And at times makes you wonder, you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Well, it's interesting. There's an article in New York Times about actual hired killers, and they're like, most of them are ups.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, you look at this, okay, this guy's doing what he does here. It's only going to be a matter of time before he majorly and ends up ends up costing his own life. But I mean, it's a very cold-blooded movie. You have to kind of just keep in mind, you're in the mind of a killer. You're following this guy around doing what he does. And he has his rules for doing what he does that requires him to do some very cold-hearted, harsh things. You're not meant to like this character.
No,
not at all.
Because usually with these killers, they try to go like, "Well, I never kill women or children," and it's like, that bullshit. Stop it.
I was looking at him. I was like, man, why'd you have to do that? And I'm like, well, I see why you had to.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate it, by your rules, I see why you had to do it. So it does a good job at looking at taking you almost like a. Take a friend to work day.
Can I go home? No. I still got 5 more hours on my shift.
Worst ride along you ever had, man. But at the same time, it works as a good action film.
It does.
Some great action scenes in here, man. That dog, first of all.
Oh yeah, that whole scene with the dog and even the guy inside.
And the fight with that big dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. It's some great scenes in there. Also, it even makes a political statement, which I cannot say without spoiling it. But I was looking at the end of this movie and I was like, wow, this is saying something about wealth inequality in this country and who gets away with what. It's a deeper film than it looks, but you have to really be thinking about it. All right, listen, you a dumb son of a bitch, and then you'll be entertained by the stuff on the surface too.
There you go.
Yeah. Also, something I very much enjoyed streaming. Now that was Netflix. I believe this is a Netflix movie also. So just like I'm not trying to watch struggle movies, I ain't trying to watch no pimps, pushes, and hoes, but that was a major point of this movie right here. Why culturally that is such a thing. And so this is a movie where it's called They Cloned Tyrone, John Boyega, and Jamie Foxx delivering one of his best performances, man.
Tell you, man, that Jamie Foxx, Strays is a trash movie, but Jamie Foxx is funny in it.
Yeah, no, he's funny and he's great here, man. He's a pimp, but he's like, and normally we associate with Jamie Foxx with being a tough guy, but here he's an old bitch. I love this character in this, man. It's sci-fi social commentary, which to me is like why you have some of the best science fiction from the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of social commentary with this. And this is social commentary using science fiction to talk about racial displacement. And it does this with characters that I love. And plus this movie had one of my favorite lines. I laughed so hard. There was a line here that said, "All right, everybody hustle, hustle, hustle. Ain't no iron, goddamn." And that was said by a white character. Come on now, ain't no iron, goddamn. I don't know why it made me laugh so much, but yeah, this is a fun movie, man. Had a lot of categories and genres here. Let's move on to what I think is the best documentary for me, and I don't know how many documentaries I've seen. This might be the only documentary I've seen. So just by default, it's the best. But I really did enjoy this, man.
How this happens got a lot of people scratching their head. They can't believe this happened again.
People, this is BS Hive. This is for the people who saw that clip of these grown-ass men playing high school football players, and the grown-ass men were getting bowled over, ran over, looking like clowns on the field. And I'm like, what the is going on here? This movie is all about that, but it went deeper because I was just fascinated. We're watching a movie about a purely evil son of a bitch. The guy who put this school, Bishop Sycamore, this guy, look, you tell his crazy eyes right there.
Complete narcissistic psychopath.
Yeah, this dude's he's evil, man. And most of this is narrated by this evil person. It's from his words. Yeah. And the funny thing is, the more he talks, the more he's like incriminating himself.
Oh yeah. But thinks he's the hero.
Yeah, that's what you get for being a narcissist and a sociopath. This guy's crazy. Like if I ever saw something where, besides murdering people, if I saw pure evil, this dude is it.
Yeah. Also,
it helps that we're in the movie too. So, at the beginning, you hear our voices and see Billy. So, a little biased there. But yeah,
No. This is my favorite documentary as well.
Oh, somebody said you called it too. Yeah, I said this when we were watching the actual clip. I said this dude, he's a con man.
Oh yeah. And I spent the whole time going, Now, okay, I know he's running out on tabs, but he had to have money from somewhere. How did he get money? And like, oh, he got these kids to sign up for these loans. God damn it.
Wow. Just really, when you do some shit like that with no remorse, you ain't got to be, Hitler and anything like that. When you manipulate people and you don't care about their well-being at all, the circumstances of those people that you are using, you're evil, man. You're a sick human being. And my last movie here is the best movie that you probably didn't hear about, but I thought was worth watching and has made my list of one of the best movies of 2023. This is No One Will Save You. Probably one of the most unique takes I've seen on an alien invasion film. For one, there's no dialogue in the movie at all. It's also a little more humorous than you can tell by looking at this, because it looks like a straight up horror movie, and it is very creepy, and it has some very scary moments in it. But really, it's mostly somewhat of a suspenseful horror or thriller comedy. What I really like about this is the aliens, man. When you see them, they really are alien. Yeah. Like they just stop and just do weird shit. And why are you doing that? They don't explain it. There's all kind of different body types. They seem to really have their own language. They seem to have their own way of operating. There are things that they do that we cannot, we have no explanation for it when we see it. And that's what an alien should be. We shouldn't be able to see what they're doing or talk about or understand what they're doing. But there really is, there's some home invasion moments here. But really, there's actual dramatic moments with this character. It's not just about the aliens. There's also something going on with this character. Why is everybody looking at her crazy? What did you do? And so there's the mystery with her that leads to a big reveal. So I really did enjoy this movie. It has a lot going on. It's not just one particular thing like you see being advertised right here. And I think they do it pretty well, man. I really enjoyed this. I could not tell where this movie was going to go. And if I didn't mention the name already, No One Will Save You. I believe that's streaming on Hulu, yes. Yes, it is. That concludes my list of the best movies of 2023 within their own respectful categories. Right. Like, you see what I'm saying? I was able to give attention to a lot of movies without having to confine them to just a list of
like
numbers.
That was good.
I have one more movie.
Oh, shit.
It's an honorable mention. Okay. We'll make it very quick.
Yeah. No.
His fate is written. Shall we write yours too?
So that is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. That is Dead Reckoning, right? That's the movie. Yes, it is. It's Dead Reckoning, Part 1. They're making so many of these Mission Impossibles. Listen, I love Tom Cruise. I love you, baby. I love his dedication to the art of action stunt work. I love his dedication to trying to kill himself. I do. It's awesome to watch on the big screen, but I think he was so dedicated to these stunts that the movie stopped making sense at some point. It just wasn't as engrossing as
it wasn't. The villain, the AI, it's like, okay, this is the new scary technology of the week. Yeah. And they don't do anything really interesting with it. And even the villain, you're like, okay, what is it you're trying to do again? I can't remember. But it's a lot of stuff that you see it's done so much in a lot of these low level movies that it almost doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, somebody said the villain's AI. Yeah, they ain't lying. Even when they introduced it, I was like, seriously, like, no, there's a dude behind this or something. Yeah, they're like, no, it's a computer. Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. The story just didn't hold up, man. I don't think, but the watching it on the big screen was amazing.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I put it in as
I get that
as honorable mention, because Tom Cruise is very much dedicated to this film.
Yeah,
it's just story wise, it fell apart. Now that really does conclude my list right there. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I was fair to these films, and keep in mind, these are the films that I saw. So there's probably some movies out there that deserve attention that I probably did not see yet, but I like it. Oh, thank you.